Hello, and welcome to Choosing Your Battles in Under 10 Minutes. Today I'm going over how to select where to fight and when to fight in order to have the most optimal engagements between hunters and monsters. For this game, I am playing Gorgon, and the perks I selected are very important. I grab Hunger, which allows me to eat on the run. It's very important so that I can reset my armor, and if I'm being chased well, I can at least prevent health damage. I also get Feral Instincts for a few reasons. The smell range is very important, the eating speed is also very good, and then the traversal cooldown useful as well. And then I get not paralyzing attacks, Evolved Claw, for that extra damage per second, which is really good at finishing off medics when you're one hit away from getting them, but they're just going to survive. I don't know, it gives me a little bit more damage per second, that helps a lot. And so the way I play this, quite often, is I will go for a fight, I will intentionally be domed, and then I will run, just trying to survive. And then once the dome's gone and I live, I go, I eat, get myself to full armor, and I turn right back with 40 seconds left, and I get damage on them. This video will be focused more as a live commentary as opposed to a standard case-by-case video, because it's much harder to show specific examples where my decision-making happens. Instead, I have to show the context of the match and why I'm making those decisions relative to what's happened before. I'm going to speed up parts of the video so that I can avoid things where this decision making isn't important, but knowing the positioning and the locations that I'm in is still very important. So I'm going to include those at least at an accelerated rate. A very important part of choosing your battles properly is recognizing priority targets. For example, I know Val does not have much defense against her, so she will be an easy target to focus. In the same manner, Hank and Maggie will be slightly more defendable, and so I should avoid prioritizing them, but if I can get them caught out alone, then I can take advantage of that and get a strike on someone who would be harder to kill. Another thing I'm aware of is the availability of Hank's orbital laser. Forgot the proper name for it, but fighting indoors, so under caves, protects me from significant damage. Open maps are very dangerous to Gorgon because of the small health and armor pool, and so if I can avoid that very high damage burst, then I can take an even better advantage. And so positioning myself to be fighting in caves is really important, which is why I take this route. If you notice, I've got this thing planned out. I know where all my food is. I'm clearing it up as quick as possible, allowing scans to hit me at the corners right before I turn. And once I clear this up, I start heading straight for the caves, even though there's a lot of food in my way. Or wait, no. One thing to be aware of is the positioning of the dome. It centers on your location when it's activated, and so keeping yourself in a location where the dome can be placed that will be beneficial to yourself is really important. I unfortunately messed this up. As you can see, there's a tiny gap that they can slip through to get away from me. Normally this would have been perfect, and if I had been half a foot away, I would have been able to heavily punish that medic and trapper and possibly get a double strike for free. Instead, what happens is they're able to slip away because of my bad doming location, and I take health damage that I would prefer to avoid. So instead what I do is start avoiding damage by using these corners, which I do have available. While the dome wasn't optimal, I'm able to punish them by forcing them to come to me when I'm playing safe. This means I can get a strike and end the dome, not as soon as I would like, but sooner than it could have been. Once I'm able to clear the dome, even though I do take quite a bit of health punishment, I retreat immediately because I want to avoid this disadvantage that will lead into the late game. So my goal right now is to get armor, but my goal is not to escape. In fact, I want them to stay close because I want them to be using their boost. So I'm choosing my fights around their fuel, their positioning, and who's separated from who. When I go up here, I'm breaking line of sight just to get the armor, and then I'm using this corner because it's a line of sight break in order to choose who I engage on based on their previous movements. The reason I'm turning back to engage is because they can't dome me, and so if I'm unable to get a strike, they can't punish me in health damage, and I can disengage as effectively as possible. So I know the assault there used his fuel to climb up, and I saw the medic doing it as well, and this means the medic can't dodge my abilities, which lets me get a whole lot of damage onto him. Medic, of course, is the primary target because they don't have a whole lot of defensive abilities to protect her, and so I'm able to get this strike for free. I disengage quickly, although in retrospect it would have been perfectly viable for me to stay and try and punish the trapper a second time. The 2 strikes I have now allows me to have a large advantage in the next upcoming dome fight, and with 9 seconds remaining, my priority is to prepare for that. I focus on getting armor, which I've already attained, and making sure I can bait the medic into a bad position. Again, I'm very aware of Hank's orbital laser, which is absolutely deadly, and so I decide it's worth it to avoid trying to run and instead staying within the cave so that they can't get that punish onto me. This specific location is advantageous because there's a lot of locations I can shove a character against the wall without too many places they can pillar hump to dodge me. This lets me set up and get significant damage onto anyone who I decide to focus because they're unable to mitigate the damage by retreating. I'm speeding up the footage now because there isn't too much to talk about, but note that there's not very much cover for them to defend against me. Because of this, they have very little area to fight in, which allows me to do quite a few hits that hit multiple targets. It makes it very difficult for them to play defensively, and so I get a strike easily onto the medic, then I'm able to punish them for trying to res the medic because there, again, isn't too much area for them to fight in. If this were a disadvantage fight, where instead of having double strike onto them and not choosing my battle at the time, this would have been very bad because then I wouldn't have much space to run. So knowing the situation is also very important. After winning this fight, even though it's theoretically possible for me to end it, I decide to retreat. I retreat simply because I have no armor, and any permanent damage I take puts me at a disadvantage for the relay fight if it gets to there. Again, I'm aware of the dome timer and I'm preparing for the next fight so that I can prevent myself from being punished. I want to get full armor before I do this because their assault has been playing a bit closer now, and so that puts me at a higher risk of health damage. I see that they're slightly split up, but I decide this port is a slightly higher priority target. Unfortunately, one thing that I missed that's very important is that the medic is currently dead and respawning. I should have engaged immediately with that advantage, and instead I take too long because I expect them to go after me rather than missing me entirely. So I just go for it instead. I know the medic's respawning, but that means healing isn't in yet, so I go for damage. Even though I make the mistake of realizing too late that the medic is down, I'm still able to get a free strike without any healing available. I'm going for more damage while I can. Only lost half a bar of armor while getting that trapper. I take full advantage of the small amount of armor pool lost and punish them for trying to revive their trapper. This means they are all in a bad position trying to save him, and I also have numbers advantage, so the peel from the trapper is not available. This means I can get the medic very easily, even though Hank is doing his best to build up the shields, and I can end the game in a very similar manner. Recognizing the advantages you have, be it just wasted fuel, positioning, separation of the team, or the actual area that you fight in, is all very important. Proper application of these strategies allow you to get strikes where you normally wouldn't, as well as avoiding damage that you probably should take. My final strategy for you is to intentionally hold your stage 3. I stay at 2 because it allows me to bait the hunters. If I evolve to 3, they go retreat and choose the fight on their grounds as opposed to mine. With my advantage on my choosing of fights, I'm able to get more strikes with less punishment. Thank you for joining me in this under 10-minute guide. If you have any questions, please send them my way and I'll do my best to answer.